So when do you harvest?
We start harvesting, we'll probably start harvesting next week, the first part of August. And in fact, Alex did a little 14 squares, maybe 100 pounds last week because they died. And they need to get out of the greenhouse once they die, otherwise their skin gets ugly. And they also get heated, which breaks their dormancy, and then I have a hard time storing them in the cooler. So next spring, you see long sprouts, soft potatoes, not something the farmer wants. So you need full sun to help you push the harvest, you know.
Where do all of the baby potatoes go?
Okay, we have a big storage. It's about a 25 by 25 room. It's high humidity, and we control the temperature, 38 degrees, and we put them in pallet boxes. Plastic pallet boxes that are sanitized. So what we do is we have a little mini grater that we run the potatoes through. Alex harvests, my daughter, harvests the potatoes. She puts them in 50-pound bags, and then I run them through the grater. I size them, I look at them, I see what they look like, so when I have to sell them or explain to the farmer if there's issues that maybe the lenticels where the potato actually is breathing. You see when you buy potatoes at the grocery store, you see these little dots, that's a lenticel. That's where the potato is breathing in and out the oxygen. So if that's in wet soil, that little black dot gets bigger. And that's where the diseases can go in if the potato's skin doesn't heal and all that kind of stuff. So there's little things I look at, and I just, and I grade the seed before it goes into the shipping boxes to the guys. So if they have problems or questions, I know exactly, what happened. I can't, nobody likes to be dealing with somebody, I got to check with somebody else. And I mean, you kick the can down the road and never get an answer. So that's why we want to be small enough to service everybody and have, some of my growers, I'm going on the third generation, which is fabulous, Grandpa was one of the first ones that bought from me. So, and the young kids could care less, but the sons appreciate it, because they know how hard their dad worked. It's a multi-generation thing to establish a seed farm. And there's not enough young people getting into it. Alex, my daughter's one. There's another family up in Carlstead. There's a couple in North Dakota, but I don't know where this next generation is going to come for our area for seed, for to keep the farms going. And like a typical farmer, you don't retire, you keep working. You might not have the heavy jobs anymore, but you could still drive around in a pickup with your arm out the window, telling everybody what to do. My dad was great at that,
So where do you sell your potatoes to?
I sell all over the United States, but it's into the seed growing areas, and seed is all in the northern part or high elevation. So Maine, New York, New Brunswick, PEI in Canada, all that, Alberta, Saskatchewan. But in the United States, so it's Maine, New York, then you come into Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota, Nebraska, so then Oregon and Washington, and in California, Colorado, Utah, New Mexico. You get into Texas, and it's kind of iffy because they get too much heat, and they do it to play around with it, but they're not real serious seed growers. So the states that I stated are serious seed producers.
So my seeds that I buy at the greenhouse or at the grocery store for my garden, do they come maybe from you, or do they come from the farmers who've bought from you?
They come from the farmers that probably purchase from me. There's two other companies that are commercial that they could come from. One's from Michigan and one's from Nebraska. But most of the stuff that you would see as seed garden would come from me because I'm the one that has those varieties. Those other guys are into larger quantities. They're in a different method, not the peat moss. They're into hydroponics, and that's a totally different game. But certain varieties work good for that. This system will do anything from chips to French fries to regular novel heirlooms to, anything. Anything is adapted to this system, and that's why I stuck with this. I didn't go with the hydroponics where everybody else did 10 years ago, because that was the up and coming thing. It's a philosophy thing, really. But so the number of years that you're buying that seed at the nursery is probably 4 to 5 years from me. And then it's out of the system. Once it hits what we call just certification, table, grocery store, or garden like that, it can't be replanted commercially. And you have to, commercial means anything over 5 acres. So I'm technically not commercial because I'm under 5 acres, but I'm totally in a different class too. There's always rules that can be broken or whatever. But my closest competitor is Michigan and Nebraska.
So do you get a break at all? As far as, do the greenhouses, are they heated year round?
Okay, so the reason we grow from May 15th through the harvest by the end of October is because the day, the light units, the day, the heat, the growing season. But potatoes also need a rest period. The rest period is once you harvest them, they go in the cooler for 9 months and then they grow. You can't harvest a potato and expect it to be planted and grow right away, like beans, okay? So they need that rest period. And because of the cost of propane heating a greenhouse that's all air, 40 degrees below zero, it's unsustainable. You can't keep the temperature up. We tried a little lean-to on a greenhouse when we first started, and all it was, the alarms were going off constantly, and it was like, we're never getting any sleep. So we didn't get a decent crop. We got about a half a crop, and the size was not acceptable to make any money. You had numbers, but you didn't have volume to make any money, and then you never got the skin set because you need some heat and sun to do that. And when you think of how the sun, right now the sun's coming up here, but in January the sun is like over here and it sets over there. There's no movement, so we never get the full, and potatoes are a full sun crop. They love cooler temperatures, but not that cold that we are. We're just too far north. And you need to, because of the scale we are, universities have their greenhouses running all the time, but they're not in production. It just doesn't work with the biological clock of a potato tuber.